Hey, what is up, everybody? And yes, the time has arrived. It's officially October, and that means that it's pretty much Halloween season. Halloween comes up on October 31st, 2017, and yeah, I figured for the fun of it, I would do a 31-day Halloween movie review series. I have been planning this for about a week now. I figured, because I'm 21 years old now. Really don't want to be trick or treating. I haven't really properly celebrated Halloween. I don't remember the last time I did. I think it was like back in 2013, 2014 maybe. And you get to kind of figure out that Halloween isn't really as fun to celebrate when you get to be older and you can't go trick or treating anymore and you start to miss it. So I figured for the fun of it, to kind of have some fun, I would do a Halloween movie review series. What I'm pretty much going to do is once a day from now until October 31st, 2017, I'm going to pick a Halloween movie and review it. It can be any type of genre: family Halloween, horror movie, which is a lot of this review series is going to consist of, and obviously comedy stuff. It's going to be everything, and this does not mean that the Movie Monday series is going to be going away. That's still going to continue. So for the people that like to watch the Movie Monday review series and this series itself, you're going to get two. You're going to get me reviewing two movies. What I'm going to try to do today was kind of a little, was kind of hectic today. But what I'm going to try to do is watch the movie a night in advance, kind of research the movie a little bit, and kind of, talk about, give a review of the movie, and then talk about, like, how the movie happened and what aftermath it did for the movie into the future. Now, obviously, the first movie, I was trying to think about, like, what movies I could have done. Which one do I really want to do first? And I figured, in the spirit of Halloween, you can't go wrong with not reviewing the Halloween movies first. And that's what I'm going to be doing first. Throughout the first few, let's see, I have it written down. Just give me a second. For the first 9 days of the series, I'm going to be reviewing the Halloween franchise. I figured it makes sense, since this is supposed to be a Halloween theme and these movies are called Halloween, and I've seen all the other, like, big Halloween movie, like, big horror movies from that time period. I've seen every Nightmare on Elm Street. I've seen every Friday the 13th. I've seen every Chucky movie. I've seen all that stuff. I've even seen all the Saws, which I'm going back and redoing again. But I've actually not watched every single Halloween movie. I've watched some of them. I haven't seen this one, but I've seen parts of the remake of this one. I've seen H2O, the resurrection of Michael Myers, and all that stuff. But I haven't actually sat down and watched every single Halloween movie, and I'm going to do just that. What's going to happen is, so I'm really excited about it, and I want to kind of just start talking about it now. So, this movie was released. Hold on, I had it ready already, but then I had to. So this movie came out on October 25th, 1978, just before Halloween, which is kind of funny. And it was actually directed, written, and produced. Well, it was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, but it was directed by John Carpenter, and it was produced by Deborah Hill. And now, after I review the movie, I will get into the actors and what made this movie get made and what happened with it afterwards. But let me kind of start off by talking about the movie itself. So the movie starts off in um, um, Haydenfield, Illinois, and it cuts back to Halloween night 1963. And obviously everybody should know the story about what happens, because if you have because this movie's been out for so long, you should already know what took place, but I'll say it. So pretty much what happens is I thought the camera work in this movie was very well, by the way. Was very well done, by the way, too. We see this figure walking towards the house, and he's just walking around, and this is and then he is walking around the house, and you see this person look in the window, and you see this couple making out. And what was supposed to be happening was, I guess the mother was out, and obviously they were feeling intimate. So but the only one that was home was Michael. And you see this person's peeking in through the window, and the couple's gonna go have sex pretty much. And what happens is you see this person, he's walking. Well, we don't really know what he is yet. But but he goes through the house and he pulls out a knife, and you don't actually see this happening. You see this happening in the view of this person. Like, the camera view is actually the view of this person, which I always love when they do those scenes in movies. And the boyfriend, who we never find out his name, when he leaves, and then the figure goes up the stairs and goes into the girl's room, who we find out we had already known that her name was Judith Myers, and Judith is brushing her hair in the mirror, and then when she turns around, she's like, "Michael, what are you doing?" And then Michael takes the knife and kills her. Obviously, everybody should know about this scene in the movie, because this is pretty much the most most famous thing that starts off this movie. Pretty much was this scene right here. I thought the way that the camera shot this angle looked really cool. You just see Michael, he just stabs Judith right in the heart, and then what happens is Michael's parents come home. We assume it's his parents. And he was wearing, the boyfriend had like a clown mask, and he was wearing a clown mask, and he takes it off, and he says, "Michael, what happened?" Then pretty much it just cut. The screen goes black, and pretty much what happens is, obviously we knew that they know about the whole situation that happened, and you see Michael, he just has a dazed look on his face. And then what happens is it cuts back to October 30th, 1978, which is ironically the day that this movie, around the time the day this movie came out. And it cuts to I'm trying to remember where it was. I'm trying to find it because I had it all set up. It cuts to Smith's Grove in Illinois, and we see I'm just trying to remember the guy's name. The Dr. Sam Loomis and Marion Chambers, and they're riding in the car. They're going to this asylum. This is 15 years after Michael Myers has killed his sister, and they are driving there because what's gonna happen, because we find out that Michael Myers has been kept in there for 15 years. He's been in psychiatric hospitals. Dr. Sam Loomis has been evaluating him. He's been for years, and he's been trying to but then when he found out what Michael Myers actually was like, he's been trying to keep him in there for years. And I guess he was worried because it's Halloween night he was gonna escape. So then when they get there, they see that everybody from the asylum has just escaped. So Dr. Sam gets concerned, exits the car, and then Marion Chambers gets grabbed by someone who we obviously know is Michael Myers, and he starts strangling her, and she's squirming to get free. Eventually, she is able to get free. She exits through the car, and Michael Myers steals the car and drives off. And Dr. Sam Loomis goes to check on her, and she pretty much tells him that he stole the car. Then it cuts back to Haydenford, Illinois, on Halloween Day, and it just shows the town deserted. And obviously, Dr. Sam Loomis knows what's about to happen, and he starts to panic. Now, when I want to mention that when I do these movie reviews, obviously I'm a little rusty in doing them. I'm not going to try to go through every scene exact in chronological order. I'm going to kind of go because a lot of this stuff happens throughout the in parts of the movie, but it's pretty much the same scene. So I'm just going to kind of go with the flow and do it as I choose. So what happens is Dr. Sam Loomis realizes that Michael Myers is going back to the town because he's known him for so long, and he's trying to get warn everybody about it. He goes to other doctors, and but yet they won't. It's not that they don't believe him, but yet but yet they're not prepared for it. They don't think that he's actually going to go back to this town. He tries calling the police about it, and nobody but yet they don't but yet they don't think it's going to be as worse as it is. And then when he walks, he sees that Michael Myers has killed someone and stolen their uniform. And then it cuts back. Now going back to earlier in the movie, we meet this person, Laura Strode, who lives in Houghton Wood, Illinois, and she's going off to school. And then her father tells her to leave the key because he's a salesman. He's a house salesman, and he tells her to leave the key under the Myers house. And obviously this is kind of important because this tells us where the house is. So then she meets up with Tommy Lloyd, who she babysits, and they're talking about stuff they're going to do for Halloween. And Laurie puts the key under the house, and Tommy kind of tells her that the boogeyman lives there, which is supposed to be Michael Myers, but I don't think it was actually supposed to be that they known it was Michael Myers. And they talk about how people from school told him that bad situation happened, but she doesn't believe it because she thinks it's just people teasing him and trying and tricking him into thinking that that's actually what it was. And as she went to put the key under the mat, you see Michael Myers stalking Laurie, and this becomes an instance throughout this movie. Laurie, is in class. You see Michael Myers watching her through the window, and when she gets asked a question, and then when she turns back, he's not there. Then Michael Myers later on, after Tommy's been teased by friends and stuff because he gets bullied in school. When Tommy runs away, Michael Myers grabs him, but he doesn't kill him, and then he takes one of the car that he had when he drove off, and then you see Laurie talking to her friends Annie and Lindsay. Annie and Linda. Sorry, my bad. Messed up. And they're talking about stuff they can do for Halloween. And Laurie's kind of in this movie a character that isn't very sociable. She doesn't really think about dances or anything like that, but yet she wants to be doing stuff like that. And she always gets crapped for it, which, obviously would make sense, but she kind of is like a little socially awkward, I would say. And but yet you see Annie and Linda, who are very outgoing, pretty much the party girls of high school. And yeah, pretty much. They see Michael Myers again, and they see him driving, and they just assume that this is a guy in a fast car. Because I think they thought it was somebody. They thought it was because the police car who actually owned that. Car. So they yell. Why don't you just Lindsay yells that he should pay attention to the speed limit, and then Michael Myers stops, and they think he's being they think he's taking it too seriously, so then he drives away. And Lindsay's kind of someone that likes to get into trouble all the time, so obviously that was part of her character. And they say that in this movie, which I thought was going to be so foreshadowing, and it kind of wasn't. So then Laurie, as they're walking after Annie leaves, sees Michael Myers, and she thinks that and he pops up right behind a bush. Then he hides behind the bush because she goes to warn Lindsay about him, because she talks about how this is the guy that messed with that they had screamed to, and now he's here. And when Lindsay goes to look behind when Linda goes to look behind the bush, he's not there, and she plays a trick on her to make her think that it wasn't her. So then when Linda leaves, Laurie's all afraid to be by herself. She's trying to because she knows Michael Myers has been stalking her, so she's looking all around, all nervous, and she bumps into Officer Brackett, and Lindsay says that she was just a little scared, and Officer Brackett said, well, actually I shouldn't say, Sheriff Brackett says that you shouldn't be scared. It's Halloween night. So then when she goes home, she sees everyone trick-or-treating, like having fun, and she looks out the window and she sees Michael Myers popped up behind in the neighbor's backyard, and then she gets scared again, and then the phone rings, and when she picks up, at first nobody says anything, so she gets scared thinking that it was Michael Myers. I actually thought it was him too, to kind of scare her, but then we find out that it was actually Linda. It was her playing a trick on her, chewing, being quiet, but obviously because Laura was afraid about Michael Myers, she didn't think it was her. And Linda, her father let her use the car, so she offers to drive her, because they both have to go babysit in the same neighborhood. So they do. So Lindy picks her up, and when Laurie gets afraid at first, thinking that Michael Myers is gonna pop up, and he actually didn't pop up, and Laurie and Linda are driving to Tommy's house, and later on we find out Linda's house, and Michael Myers is actually following them, but then they run into Sheriff Brackett. Michael Myers stops because he doesn't want to know that he's following these girls, and Sheriff they were actually smoking weed in the car, and they got scared that because that's Linda's I'm just making sure I have the name right. Yeah, that's Linda's because that's Linda's father. They don't want her dad to know that they were smoking weed in the car, so they hide it, and they have like a casual conversation. Sheriff Brackett reveals that somebody broke into that store and stole knives, Halloween masks, and murdered the owner of the store, and they think it was just teenagers, and he thinks it was just teenagers, but I'm assuming we were gonna later find out that it was Michael Myers. I'm assuming we were just supposed to know that. They didn't really kind of go into it. So they drive off, and then Dr. Sam Loomis pops up and talks to the sheriff to warn him about Michael Myers. And as he does this, Michael Myers drives right behind him, and he doesn't see him, which was, I thought, pretty funny. So then what happens is, I'll just kind of go through the movie chronologically. Michael Myers is still following Lindsay and Laura. Laura goes into the goes to babysit Tom, And Michael Myers actually follows Lindsay. He spies on her as Lindsay is getting ready to babysit. And I'll kind of talk. And Tommy throughout this time sees him. But when he tells Laurie about it, she doesn't believe him because when she looks out the window, he's not there. Which I like that when they do those scenes. And Tommy's scared because people at school have been telling him the boogeyman is going to come get him. He's afraid that Michael Myers is the boogeyman, which in this case he kind of was right. So Laurie promises that she's not going to let anything happen to him. And throughout this, they were watching movies, carving pumpkins, and and he kind of forgets about it after a while. But then, as this is happening, we see Dr. Sam and Sheriff Brackett. They go to Michael Myers' old house. I'm gonna kind of talk about all this stuff all at once, and because he's warned them about what happened, and he talks about how he pretty much everything I just said. How he's known Michael Myers for years, and he hasn't spoken a word. I don't think it was 15 years, but it was about 6 years. And he's afraid that he knows that the source of evil that's inside Michael Myers, that there's been a dog that's been murdered, and devoured, and he talks about how Michael Myers possibly could not be a mere human. So then when they go upstairs to wait for him, and I think like a light broke the window. I couldn't really see what it was. And this startles Dr. Sam, and he pulls out his gun, and he has to show it, Sheriff Brackett his permit for it, and then Sheriff Brackett reveals doesn't think anything's gonna happen because nothing has happened. He was gonna go. He was gonna just call his guys and say, "Let's go search," but he didn't. But Dr. Sam didn't want people searching for this guy and going through the house and scaring him. He just wanted it to be kept private between them. So then he leaves them off, and then later on in the night, the people that were messing with Tommy go to Michael Myers' old house to kind of play like a Halloween trick about to play a Halloween trick about the boogeyman, and Dr. Sam pretends to be the boogeyman to scare them, to get them to go away because he didn't want Michael Myers popping up and killing them. So then Sheriff Brackett pops up and says that nothing's gonna happen. All that's gonna happen is just drugs, trick or treating, and just kids playing pranks. Michael Myers isn't coming. And Dr. Sam says that you have to believe me because I know Michael Myers. He's been preparing for this date for years. He was just waiting for the right opportunity to escape. And he says that he wants Michael Myers. He wants him to help guard him from Michael Myers. He doesn't want Michael Myers killing everybody in the town. So he offers to stay with him for the rest of the night. And then I'm gonna now I'm gonna kind of cut to the stuff that was going on as this was happening. You see Michael Myers stalking Lindsay, and Lindsay calls Laurie because a thing that happened throughout this is there was this Halloween dance coming up the next night, which never really got brought up much because the movie ended before the next day, so it was kind of weird. There was this guy that Laurie wanted to go to the dance with. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. And Lindsay brought up her name, and he was all happy about it. And and Laurie is upset that she did this. And she's never gonna show her face in school again. And then Lindsay spills butter because she was making popcorn all over her clothes. So she has to get wash it off. She has to take her clothes off, and she has to put a robe on. Doing this, Lindsay was watching a movie, and Linda goes to does her laundry, and as this happens, Michael Myers is creeping on her. He was watching her from the kitchen. He knocks over a plant to try to get her attention, but she doesn't have any interest in it. The dog, I forget the dog's name, but just starts growling because Michael Myers is there, and the dog tries to attack him, but Michael Myers strangles him to death, which I thought was a great scene. It actually doesn't show Michael Myers strangling the dog. It just shows it happening, and I thought it was a great scene. And Linda goes into the laundry room. They actually have, I guess back then they had like laundry rooms like in the barn. It was pretty sick. Not back then, but maybe the way this family had it set up. And the door keeps closing, and then eventually Linda gets locked in, and she tries to get out. She goes to go out the window, but she gets stuck, and Lindsay gets a phone call from Paul. This is Linda's boyfriend. Who knows what he didn't really go into detail about who he was. We don't know if it really was her boyfriend. Could have just been someone that that she was just having sex with. Who knows? And he wants to talk to Linda. So Lindsay goes to get her, and we see that Lindsay gets caught in the window. So then Linda helps her escape because she unlocks the door and everything. And then Linda, Paul wants her to come Paul reveals that his parents aren't home, and he wants her to come pick him up. Well, she asks him to walk over, but he doesn't want to walk over. She wants him to come pick him up, and then she's realized that she's messed up, so that she can't because she's babysitting. So she offers Laura to babysit for her if she calls the guy that Laura has a crush on and says that she'll made all that stuff up about her. I know it's complicated to say, but so she does. So then Linda goes to get her in her car, but she doesn't have the keys. So then she goes to grab the keys, and when she gets in the car, Michael Myers chokes her. She's struggling to escape, and she tries beeping the horn to get anybody's attention, but of course no one was gonna answer, and Michael Myers stabs her right in the and kills her. I thought this was a great scene, and what I loved about this movie is the constant dramatic effect that they had. Every time you thought Michael Myers was gonna kill someone, he wouldn't do it. So I'm like, okay, he's gonna kill her now. Like when she was locked in the laundry room, I thought he was gonna pop up and just murder her. Didn't happen. So I like that part of the movie very much. And then so obviously, but they don't know that Lloyd doesn't know that Linda's been murdered. So Annie and her boyfriend Bob go over to the house, and Annie goes in, and she's trying to find Linda. She calls Laurie and says that Linda hasn't shown up, and she doesn't know that she went to go get her boyfriend Paul. So she says that's where she was, and Laura wants and as this happens too, actually, I forgot to mention, Tommy sees Michael Myers carrying Linda's dead body, he tries to warn Laurie about it, but when she because he was trying to scare Lindsay, but then he sees that happen, so then he tries to tell Laurie, but then he's not there. So then Bob and Annie are there to have sex pretty much. And yeah, they're there to have sex. So the phone rings, and they take the phone off the cord, and Annie wants another beer. They actually did a funny scene where Bob just kept saying yeah when she offers him one. So Annie wants Bob to go get her one for her to be a gentleman, and then he does. And when he gets the beers and he hears something and he looks all around, he thinks it's just Annie or Linda playing tricks on him. So he's looking all around, and then when he looks into one of the doors, Michael Myers pops up, chokes him, and he stabs him and murders him. And I thought that was a great scene. Then the best scene happens, I think. Not the whole movie, but another great scene happens. So Annie is in the bed, Michael Myers comes up, and he has Bob's glasses on, and he has a sheet over him like he's dressed up to be a ghost. And Annie thinks that this is Bob playing a trick on her, and trying to be sexual and stuff. So she keeps asking him questions, and obviously because Michael Myers doesn't speak, he didn't answer. So then she it's like, well, if you're not gonna answer, I'm gonna call and see where Linda is. So Annie calls Laura, and before she can say anything, Michael Myers chokes her, and Laura thinks this is just them playing a trick on her. Because what happened is, it was actually, when she was being choked, it actually sounded like she was making sex noises, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, Michael Myers murders Annie. He chokes her with the phone cord, which I thought was a great scene. And Laurie starts to get suspicious. She tries calling again, doesn't answer. The lights go out, and so she goes to see what's going on. So she walks over. Laura goes in the house, tries to find Linda, Bob, or Annie, or Paul, because she still thinks they're all just playing a trick on her. But when they don't come out, she kind of starts to feel like something's wrong. Then she goes in the room, and she sees that Linda's dead body up with a gravestone that says, "In memory of Judith Myers." Because earlier in the movie, I didn't mention this, Judith Myers, when Dr. Sam was with a graveyard, what do they call them? Graveyard digger. It was a graveyard keeper, that's what they call them. And he went to find her gravestone, and her gravestone had been taken out, and the graveyard keeper just thinks it was kids playing a trick. But then Dr. Sam had realized all along that it was Michael Myers that had taken it. So that's what happened. He took it, and then Laura gets scared. She doesn't really scream, but she's in shock about it. Then we see Bob's dead body just hanging down from, and his feet were hanging from like the rungs of the closet. Then like a cabinet opens, and we see Annie's dead body, and she gets scared. Michael Myers tries to pop up behind her and cut her, but he misses and actually hits her sleeve, and she falls down the stairs. Well, not down the stairs, but falls from like the stairs, off the second floor onto the stairs. And she hurts her knee, and Michael Myers is coming after her. She takes off, but Michael Myers has the doors blocked. She locks the door, and she tries to get out, but there's a iron rake blocking the door. So when Michael Myers comes in and is about to get her, she breaks the glass and is able to knock off the rake and unlock it and get out. And she tries to ask for help, but and she went to this neighbor's house, and they just turned the lights out. I guess they thought she was just playing a trick on him. It was kind of mean though. And she tries to she goes to go in the house, but she must have dropped her key in the house. Michael Myers is coming after her. She tries to warn Tommy. She throws a potted plant at the window, and Tommy pops up, opens the door, and she tells Tommy to go upstairs. And she's just scared. You see her shoulder is actually bleeding. And then she gets scared, and she grabs like a needle, like a sewing needle. Michael Myers pops up behind her, and she stabs Michael Myers in the throat with it. And then later on, what happens is Dr. Sam, this is literally the next scene, because Michael Myers is just laid out, and Laura thinks that she's murdered him. Well, Dr. Sam is outside, and he sees the car that Michael Myers took, and realizes that he went to the other neighborhood. So he goes after that. So when the cop comes up to him, he tells the cop to search every house. So then Laura tells the kids that Michael Myers has been dead, but Tommy was like, "But I thought you couldn't kill the boogeyman." And then Michael Myers walks up the stairs, and then they all hide. and Tommy and Lindsay were hiding in the one closet. She was hiding in the other. Michael Myers tries to break in, and he takes his knife and just stabs and just starts cutting the blinds of the closet. And Laura takes a coat hanger and stabs Michael Myers with it. And then he stabs him in the gut with with his knife. And Laura thinks he's murdered him again, and she tells Tommy and Lindsay to go warn the neighbors and tell them to call the cops and tell them to get here right now. So they go do that. Dr. Sam sees what's happened, and he goes in the house, and because he realizes Michael Myers is in there, and Laura's all just distraught. Michael Myers sits up. He goes and he grabs Laura and just starts choking her. Dr. Sam pops in and just shoots Michael Myers, and he falls out the window and lands on the ground. And then the ending scene is Laura asks, "Was that the boogeyman?" And Dr. Sam says, "Yes, it was." And then when he goes to look outside, he says that Michael Myers isn't there. And then they show all the places, the rooms of the house, all the places he could possibly be in. We hear him breathing, showing that we don't exactly know where he is. And then that was the end of the movie. And overall, just in my opinion, I thought this movie was really good. I thought the movie did a very good job of telling the story of Halloween. I thought they did a really good job with camera effects, and I thought the movie just was really good. I even liked the stuff, like the murders in this movie were really well done. There wasn't a lot of blood and gore. There was actually a story being told. And I like the movie. I like the characters in the movie. I liked Laura a lot in this movie. I thought Dr. Sam came off as a great character. Even Linda, I thought she was a pretty decent character in this movie. I thought all the characters came off very well, and I really enjoyed it. So now that I've kind of gone through that, let me kind of go through the actors / actresses of this movie, the cast. So we had Donald Pleasance played Dr. Sam Loomis. Laurel Strode was played by Jamie Lee Curtis. Michael Myers, who was credited as the Shape, was played by Nick Castle. Then Michael Myers unmasked, because I forgot to mention when Laurel took his mask off in this movie, and he was played by Tony Mormon. And Michael Myers at age 6, in the beginning of the movie, was played by Will Sadin. And then Linda Van der Klock was played by P.J. Souls. Annie Brackett was played by Nancy Kyes. Sheriff Lee Brackett was played by Charles Cyphers. Lindsay Wallace was played by Kyle Richards. Tommy Doyle was played by Brian Andrews. Bob Sims was played by John Michael Graham. Marion Chambers was played by Nancy Stevens. Graveyard Keeper was played by Arthur Millay. Richie, Lonnie, and Keith, by the way, were all the little kids that were messing with Tommy in the beginning of the movie. So Richie was played by Mickey Yablans. Lonnie was played by Brent Lee Page. Keith was played by Adam Hollard. Judith Margaret Myers was played by Sandy Johnson. Judith's boyfriend was played by David Kyle. Laurie's father was played by Peter Griffith, who you don't really see in this movie at all. I'll kind of talk about, so I think from what I understand, Dr. Henry Pleasance is in other movies. He's also been in other stuff. Let me just see if I can find his. He's been in the Bench Coma. He's been in some movies in the 50s. I'm going to see if I can find like movies he's been in other than the Halloween movies and stuff. He's been in Dracula in 1979. Good Luck, Mrs. Wilkford. He was in... Yeah, the Hour of the Pig, The Big Freeze, The Thief and the Cobbler, Shadows and Frogs, Buried Alive, River of Death. But I thought he did a very good job playing the Dr. Sam Loomis in this movie. I thought he did a very good job. Originally, he wasn't supposed to be the actor actually. They had wanted somebody else to do it, but they turned it down. They wanted 2 other people to do it. I'll look it up in a second, but they turned it down. Then Jamie Lee Curtis, and obviously I want to mention too, by the way, that now Dr. Sam Loomis has now passed away. He died on February 2nd, 1995, and Laurie Strode, she's been in other stuff as well. I remember her face because I've seen her character before. She wasn't very big when she originally. She was in Prom Night, The Fog, Coming Soon, Trading Places from 1983, My Girl 2. I think she was in the first one too, if I'm not mistaken. But I know I've seen she's in My Girl, both of them. I've seen both of My Girls. Mother Boys, Freaky Friday. I've seen that movie before. She was in like other TV shows too. I think she was in she's been in NCIS, New Girl. I thought she was in something else though. Guess not. She's been in a lot. She's been in a lot of big Saturday. She was on an episode of Saturday Night Live before. She hosted it. It was really Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the Island of Misfit Toys. She's been in that. So she's been in a lot of Virus, because I think I've seen that movie before. So she's been in a lot of stuff. This movie actually kind of helped really break her into becoming a big actress. And then Nick Castle, I believe, has been in pretty much every Halloween except he was in the first Halloween, but he's been in the Boy Who Could Fly, Escape from New York, Dark Star. He's written some he's written some movies. The last one he wrote was August Rush in 2007, and he's directed some movies. In 2006, he directed Connor's War, Twas the Night in 2001. So he's done some stuff. Tony Moran, who was the unmasked version of Michael Myers, he's been, like you said, he was in that movie. He was in The Lucky Break, Emergent Past, Beg, The Unforgivable Force. In 2016, he was in American Poltergeist, which I think I've heard of before. He's been in The Waltons and California Fever. Let's see, who else? PJ Souls. She was in other movies she's been in is I want to just look at the movie The Tooth Fairy, 2006. 13 Girls in 2015. She was in Knight Rider in 2000, the TV show from 1986. The Blue Knight from 1976. The Devil's Reject from 2005. Death by Engagement, same year, 2005. Murder on the Yellow Brick Road, 2005. Jawbreaker from 1999. Alienator from 1989. Born in 1988. So she's been in a lot of stuff. Nancy Kyes, she's been in. I'm just trying to go through everybody. She's been in some of the other Halloweens, which I'll get to that. The Twilight Zone in 1985. This is a TV show. She hasn't been in a lot of stuff, really. The Fog in 1980. So she hasn't been in that much stuff other than the Halloween franchise. And then Charles Cyphers. He's been in Honky Tonk Man, Death Wish 2, Escape from New York, The Fog, Borderline, The Onion, Field, A Force of One, Elvis, Critical Mass, Match 2, Murder in the First, and he is still alive actually. Nancy Stevens has been in A Time for Dancing 2000 was the last movie she's been in. She was in Escape from New York, American Dreamer, D2, The Mighty Ducks. I believe I know that movie. Believe so. And American Dreamer and Ruskies. She hasn't been in a lot of movies either though. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to the film. But yeah, those are all the actors. You can just look them up. But yeah, this movie though, I just want to mention, it only had, see if I can find it, because I'm trying to find that part. It only had like a $300,000 budget. You can definitely see it in this movie. Not that I'm knocking it, but I heard this movie when I was reading it here wasn't very advertised, but received a massive reception. And I look at it like this: this movie if this movie wasn't a success, the Halloween franchise wouldn't have been a success, because this movie helped launch the Halloween franchise. I don't think we were necessarily supposed to know all this other stuff we know about Michael Myers, because the next movie is going to probably explain that a lot more, because they didn't really go into as much detail as we know about. But yeah, it led to the other ones, and it's still talked about today. Everyone still wants to see that movie. So overall, I would say this movie gets a thumbs up. If I had to rate it overall, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a really good movie. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this Halloween movie review series. I'll be back tomorrow to review Halloween 2. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later. And make sure, by the way, I didn't forget to mention that you guys subscribe to this channel, so that way you can continue to watch the Halloween movie review series. And make sure you guys subscribe to my CM Brothers YouTube channel, because I post videos on there as well. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.